The title of the talk, and this is going to really be a discovery process workshop, but I do have some PowerPoint because we have PowerPoint. The science behind the letter sounds, a process of discovery and clarity. So I like that word clarity because there's so much that happens in education that is not clear, but when the Reading League's involved, things are pretty clear and research-based. So I like that word, clear. So this is my first picture that I want to talk about. This is really a tribute to the Reading League. And it's the story of the geese. I don't know if you've ever heard this story. Has anybody ever heard the story of the geese? It's a beautiful story. So we learned 5 lessons from geese. So they fly in this beautiful pattern, in this V. So they fly together because they share a common vision. And when they fly together, they get 71% greater flying range than if each bird flew by themselves. And the Reading League really exemplifies that, getting people together to fly together. Then sometimes, you know how you see them flying and the goose, one of the geese goes out of formation and goes back in. So they realize as they begin to float away that they need to get back in the line because they need the thrust of the bird before to carry them along. And that talks about maintaining. It's not good enough just to share the vision, but we have to really maintain the vision. And maintaining the vision is not easy. When the lead goose gets tired, another one takes their place. And that's what we as leaders want to do. We want to get people taking the place so that we all become leaders. And the Reading League really exemplifies that. They are training people to become leaders. Lesson number 4, the geese honk up to the head geese. And they encourage the head geese. And we have to learn from that we need to be encouraging, always encouraging of other people. And sometimes when we're teaching, we don't think of it, but every time we teach children and they process successfully, really what's happening is we're doing a good deed. We're bringing light into the world. And we get caught up in the details, which we need to be, but we also need to remember the bigger picture, that we're doing this because it's the right thing to do. It's the honorable thing to do. And lesson number 5 is maybe one of the most important, is that if one of the geese is not well and has to go to the ground, another goose will go and sit with that till they're better. So we don't leave people behind no matter what. We don't leave students behind. We don't leave teachers behind. And I think the Reading League, they speak to that everybody needs to be included and everybody can learn and everybody can become better teachers and all students can learn. And so I wanted to just share that because it reminded me of this organization. So just a brief about me. I didn't grow up in New York. I grew up in California, Sacramento, California. And can you see, are you able to see not really. Can we do anything? They can't really see, but should I stand on this side? Is that better? I always stand on the right, but I'm going to stand on that. Okay, so these are just some pictures of California where I grew up. And Sacramento is called the River City. We have 2 rivers that run through Sacramento. We have the American River, and you see where they come together, and the Sacramento River. This picture is not the Golden Gate Bridge. It's called the Tower Bridge. It's a bridge in Sacramento that goes over one of the rivers. And this picture over here I took is of Donner Summit in the Sierra Nevada. Many Sundays of my childhood I used to ski. And probably the most important thing I ever learned when I skied, the first thing I ever learned was how to get up. That's the first thing they teach you. So I think I've kind of carried that throughout my life, that motto of you fall and you get up. This is the capital of California. I don't know if anybody could tell me how you know it's California and not Washington, D.C. We've got our palm trees. And these are the California redwoods. And I took a walk in the redwoods a couple of years ago when I went back to visit my parents. And the tour guide had a great quote. And the quote was, "Stand tall because you stand amongst the tallest." And you have to realize when we come to this event that the Reading League people are here, and they are great people, and we stand amongst big people. And I made a little list of, we're going to see some quotes a little bit later, and all these people these are the quotes of these people, and certainly there could be many more people. But I think it's important to realize that we're part of a bigger picture, and that makes it really important and really special what we do. Okay. And some of the names, you're going to see the names in a little bit when we look at the quotes. So now I'm just going to tell a little bit about what made me become a teacher, or why I never thought I would be a teacher, or something like that. But really, I was a singer, I was a performer, and I did spend years and years in voice lessons, 12 years. My mother is an artist, and this is actually a picture of my grandfather's. So I imbibed a lot of creativity throughout my childhood and loving color. Notice purple, that's my mom's favorite color, but it's my favorite color. But I love creativity and I love artistry. And this is teaching in Muncie during the Slingerland Summer School, and this was one of the children that we work with. And I think what I'm trying to give over about the background is that the creativity and the gifts that people have are so valuable, but we also have to have the skills. And then once we have skills, we can take the gifts and utilize them to support the skills. So I think it's just very important that skills sort of precede the creativity aspect of teaching. And tonight we're really going to talk skill, the nitty-gritty of skill. Okay, why do we care? We have to always think about why we care. When we're going to sit and we're going to talk about consonants and vowels tonight, why do we care about that? We care because of something like this. There's a man by the name of Mr. John Corcoran. How many people have ever heard him, seen him? So he learned to read when he was 48. And if you ever want to see a great video, he has a foundation to support literacy. And on that foundation's website is a video of him learning with Pat Lindemann. And it is a very important video to watch. But he didn't learn till he was 48. And he has a beautiful life, and they're beautiful people, and he grew from his experiences, but we wouldn't want that to happen on purpose to somebody. We'd want to avoid that situation. So this is why we care. The other night, I had a young woman call me where I am and asked for some help in a school. And then she said, "Can I ask you a question, private, about myself?" I said, "Sure." Now, Dr. Kilpatrick had just been in Muncie giving a course. She had been at that course, and she told me, she's a kindergarten teacher, she told me, "I cannot read any word that I haven't memorized." And she said, "When I heard Dr. Kilpatrick speak, I never understood what my problem was. But while I heard him speak, I understood that." And she wanted to know, of course, what could be done, and she was feeling enlightened by that. And this is why we care. We want to avoid these situations, okay? This is a picture of my father on the left, and his lieutenant, his colonel on the right, on your right. And I put this picture in because my father was getting an award for 10,000 flight hours. And 10,000 hours is a lot of time, but it seems to be that when people become good at something, it takes about 10,000 hours. Whether you become a concert pianist, whether you become a singer, whether you become a reading teacher, whether you become a reader. If you think of how many hours young children spend honing in on the skill. And so it's important to realize that this is a journey that takes a lot of time. And we need to appreciate that. Also, this picture reminds me of a mission. People that have a mission. People that have pride in a mission. We should have pride. We should feel the mission. It's a lofty mission that we have. Okay. So we're getting a little bit nittier grittier now, because that was kind of our big picture, and I am the daughter of a pilot, so we will have, you notice we had some flying geese, and then we had a little bit more, and there may be some other flying things coming up. But this is a balancing rock. So as you look at the picture, you see that it balances in one little area. So this was actually Dr. Kilpatrick's idea, so I'm giving credit. If we were to look at the bottom, we would say that their phonemic awareness would be at the bottom. And then working upwards through that rock, we would say, then we would get fluent word recognition, reading comprehension, social studies, history, science, reading, attitudes, behaviors also, school success, whether we stay, whether we drop out, career opportunities. And then if we would go even further down, we would hit the individual phonemes. So we've got phonemic awareness, and then we have the phonemes, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So we're really talking about something very far down in the process, but something super important that we should make sure that we're making our sounds correctly. So when we look at this little rock, we should think of some words like sequential, systematic, cumulative. Okay, we want to be sequential, systematic, cumulative. We shouldn't forget that we always need to review what we're doing. Okay. I thought you might appreciate this. Virginia City, Nevada. And this was a famous school that was there. It was built in 1886, 1884. At the time, 1876 actually was when it was built. It was the first schoolhouse in America that had bathrooms, indoor bathrooms. And it was during the Comstock lode where they were mining for silver there, and they were paid relatively well, those silver miners, and they decided that they were going to create a state-of-the-art school, which at the time it was. And this was a sample of what the assessment topics were for 8th grade students. They had an assessment that had different sections. This was the section called orthography. So if you look, alphabet, phonetic, orthography, etymology, syllabification, what are elementary sounds? How are they classified? And if you go down, you see that look what they learned and look how important the specific skills were, and that's where the focus seemed to be. A lot of the children who went to this school became teachers in the community there. Mark Twain actually lived in this community, and he actually wrote for the paper. And there was a famous quote that went like this in the paper at the time from October 15th, 1876. "The pride of Virginia is the new schoolhouse which is going up on the divide. It is our pride today. The time is not far distant when it will be our glory as well. The people of the whole world are waking up to the fact that it is cheaper to build and maintain schoolhouses than jails." Don't need to say anything more about that. Okay. So now we're going to begin where your PowerPoint slides begin, okay? Okay, and I'm going to keep some notes in front of me because I don't want to forget to say. Okay. So fundamentals first, skill must precede creativity. Okay, we talked about it, so I'm not going to mention it again. Phoneme, what do we want to say about the phoneme? It's the smallest unit of sight, sound, and feel. But small things are big in this world. You don't have to be so big to be important. First perceptions of phonemes are carried over the oral pathways and also and through the speech organ, okay? Because that is what the phoneme is. The phoneme is the creation through the speech through our speech organs, okay? The alphabetic principle is when we link phonemes to graphemes, and not the other way around. We know that now. And the accurate production of the individual sounds. What we're going to do this evening is and it should always be guided by standard American pronunciation. That isn't to say that dialect is not important or that it doesn't exist. It certainly does exist. But we want to make sure that when we do individual letter sounds with students, that we're making them according to standard American pronunciation. So to the best of my ability, that's what I will do with you this evening. Because I'm from California, so I also have a dialect issue. And it says ensure student success during the early stages of literacy development and beyond. So why is it so important? To assess a student, if you're going to assess their phonological awareness, you've got to be able to make your letter sounds correctly. Also, phonological awareness is not limited solely to auditory stimulation. It also incorporates oral motor feedback. It has to be fluent and automatic for oral, it helps with oral blending. So if, for example, let me just hold I don't want to lose my thing. If you don't know your sounds, whoops. If you don't know your sounds, or if you're teaching them not correctly to children, and you're adding a vowel sound where there shouldn't be, if you go to read a word like this, or a student goes, they're going to say ka, a, ta. Then when they have to blend, they're going to have to get rid of that sound. Okay, so it's going to make blending harder for them. So we for sure don't want to make blending. We don't want to make anything harder for them. We want to make it clear, like we said. So so that's why we want to make sure our sounds are right. And very important, it develops the capacity, the beginning for orthographic mapping. How many people have heard of orthographic mapping? Okay, so these books, I always bring my books. I learned it from Dr. Murray because she always shows the book. So this is my Dr. Kilpatrick book. He's giving me new ones because it's a little embarrassing how this looks, but I have all my notes in here. But this is, and also there's a YouTube video that we talk about orthographic mapping. In the short of it, it's the ability to permanently store words. And this is the beginning of that process. Okay. So we have 5 sort of steps that we're going to talk about how we learn best. So the first thing is that we get information about the world around us. So we perceive information. We become aware. So there's times in our lives that we become aware of something that we weren't aware of before, and suddenly it pops out at us, So awareness is first. Perception happens when the sensory input is perceived and we understand it, and then if we become aware of something and that perception is knowledge. That is, so we have awareness, we perceive something, and then we conceptualize it, which usually means that we know how to talk about it, we can compare the information, we can contrast it, we can categorize information. So it's really important to be able to categorize information. Categorizing enables us to be able to file information and then be able to then retrieve that information quickly. So Dr. Seidenberg, Mark Seidenberg in his book, talks about the importance of letter naming because it produces the ability, it creates the ability to create categories. So in other words, if we were to say the letter A under our category for letter A, we might have a lot of different things. So here's the letter A. And under that, we might have this A. We might have this A. We might have this. we might have this. But they all go under the category of A, and that helps us to organize information. And every time a child categorizes something, they can categorize other things. There's a transference in that. So this is very important, this ability to classify, categorize, and contrast. Okay. Okay. Best teaching practices to empower all learners, small steps towards independence. So the first thing is to understand that children have to understand, and we, when we're learning things, have to understand why we're learning, what we're doing, and why we're doing it. Okay, and we're going to see how we're going to explain this to them a little bit tonight. This is really, though, this evening is about you teachers, meaning this isn't about tonight how you would go and necessarily use this with students, but first you have to know how to make the sounds. You have to understand how the language is put together, and then we begin to apply it to the students. But I'll keep talking about students because I'm a teacher and it will keep slipping in. Okay. We use concrete, oral, motor, sensory input to verify and support and strengthen auditory perception. Okay, this supports this, and we'll talk about that. We utilize a discovery a dialogue process. Okay, and I will hopefully be modeling that tonight. And it's called responding to the response. It's a Lindemood type conversation where we're going to meet the student, whoever the student is, adult, child, where they are for error responses and things like that, and then bring them from their point, bring them where we need to bring them. And you're going to see that tonight. I'm going to show that to you. We enable self-correction through questioning, not telling. We verify input using the check if we are matching language. So sometimes when I'll have a student, if I say the word cat and they say pat, I say, could you say that word? And they say pat. I say, let's check if we're matching. Cat, let's check if we're matching. Because it's a little respectful, and it's also getting them to learn to compare what you've said to what you've said and what they've actually done. Encourage learners to check their thinking as they try to reason through tasks. It's a nice little way to say to children, let's check our thinking on that. Okay, and we can do that, and you're going to see. We develop metacognition using Socratic questioning. So what is Socratic questioning? It's a teaching technique in which the teacher does not give information directly, but instead asks questions to elicit a response. With all that we do, processing is at the key of it all. We want the kids to get the picture of what we're trying to do. We want them to be able to maintain the picture, and then we want them to be able to get their picture back independently. And that's when we know learning has occurred. Our job is to facilitate thinking, not to think for them, but to ask the questions that facilitate thinking. And this is probably my favorite quote from Mr. David Berg from Making Math Real. Every time a student processes successfully, cognitive development has occurred. And every time a student processes successfully, self-confidence is increased. Okay, we're up to the consonants. Okay. Now, I love the phonemes. They're my friends. And I heard Louisa Moat speak at the Reading League conference in October, and she said that when she was just about ready to graduate with her doctorate degree from Harvard, and Dr. Chomsky was her professor, and right before she was gonna graduate, she sat down with her and she said, Louisa, I don't think you really understand phonemes very well. And then she said, does that mean I'm not going to get my degree? She said, no, you're going to get your degree, but you'll really need to think into it because there are levels of understanding this. And I really believed that when I heard that, because I told Maria the other night on the phone that I probably read it 50 times, my chapter in my LIPS manual on consonants and vowels once again. And again, I learned more than I knew before. And each time I read it, I know more. And I did forget to mention that my journey in education, I was never going to be a teacher. I would never believe, if you would have told me 25 years ago that I would stand and teach teachers, I wouldn't have believed that. I was selling piggy magnets at promotionals, and somebody said to me, "Sure, this is a waste of your time. You should go to California, to San Luis Obispo, sit at the feet of the Lindemoods and learn lists and learn VB." Okay. So I went, and I didn't really understand so much what was happening. I didn't even know what a long and a short vowel was. When they said that, I said, "I don't even know what that is." But there was something about it that I knew it was truth, and I understood it was truth, and that is what propelled me into this. And it's been amazing. This journey has been an amazing journey. But so now here we are. We're going to do our consonants, and we're respectful of our consonants because they're really important. And then we're going to take a little break, and we're going to make some money for the reading link. And then we're going to get a lot of money. And then we're going to talk about the vowels. The vowels are a little bit trickier, and we're going to talk about why they're a little bit trickier. So let me get myself reorganized, and I'm going to leave this up now. Just this. Okay. Now, if tonight, because it's for teachers, I'm going to be telling you a little bit more than I usually would if you were my student, because of the time constraints. But just so you know that, if I was doing it with students, the process would be a little bit different. So I would like to begin by setting the climate. And if I was to ask you, my students, how do you get information about the world around you, what would you say?
Senses.
5 senses, I would agree. And if I would ask you, what would you use the most in school? What would you say? Which ones? Right. Not so much taste and smell, although nowadays, when we were kids, we didn't eat just at certain times. Now they seem to be eating all the time. So I'm not sure about that anymore. But okay, that's how that is. Okay. So we use, what do we use to see with? We use our eyes. And what do we use when we speak? Our mouth. And how about when to hear, what are we going to use? And we derive this. Notice I'm not an artist so much. And what sits on top of our head? Our brain. Okay. So I come from Muncie, and our kids would say, our yarmulke sits on top of our head. And we'd have to redirect that sometimes, but that's okay. Okay. And then we do something just simple. It's not, I know we're all a lot of researchers, but I mean, just simple that back here is the seeing part. This is what gets active when we see. Okay, here is our feeling part. This is very simplified. That's a hand. Here's our hearing part. And here is our conductor. That's a really important part. So I often say, who is our conductor? Who's your conductor? You are your conductor. You conduct yourself, right? Because that's what we're trying to set up for the kids. So what we're going to talk about today, what we're going to focus on is this part, feeling in our mouth. And when we focus on this, it's going to help us to connect this and this, our sight and our hearing, okay? And setting of the climate is something that's so easy to do anytime you go into a session. It doesn't have to be such a formal setting of the climate, but it can be, why are you here today? And this is what we're going to do, so that they get into that a little bit and get to thinking about that. So that's called setting the climate. Okay. In your, what the sheet you should have out now would be your consonant mat, the sheet, so that you can take notes. Okay. And now I wanted to show you, just so you know, Okay, I'll show you in a minute. You have a mirror in your packet. That's your tool right now that we're going to be using to verify information. You'll use your mirror plus the feeling card, okay? So now what I'd like you to do, please, is I would like for everybody to make the sound. Now I want you to make the sound. Somebody describe, and if we can't hear, there's this. Could somebody tell me what's different about those two sounds? One is what? Voiced and one is unvoiced. Okay. So yeah, so when we say voiced, can somebody explain to me what that means? Vocal cords are working. Yes, okay. And then for the people who know that, when I repeat this to you, you're getting an endorphin rush. Because whenever you hear something that you heard before, it's like, yes, light bulbs on. Okay. For those of us who have not heard it yet, it's a first time hearing it. It should be equally as exciting, endorphin rush. So either way, whether we're doing review or salted. Okay. So if you're having trouble perceiving that, what we do is we put our hand onto our neck. Usually I say palm of the hand, not this, because you don't feel it as well. And now I want you to say, and now I want you to say, okay. So another way to feel it, because I want to make sure that we're good with all. Some people still have some trouble. If you cup your hands over your ears and make lots of vibration. So you hear the vibration. Just so you know, anatomy, the vocal cords lay this way. This is how they are. And they get shorter and longer. They're like a musical instrument when we speak. They actually close when you swallow. And that's why people say don't talk when you eat. They close off so it doesn't go into the wrong area. So they're actually a very important part of the body. Okay. Okay. So I'm wondering if I can get a volunteer. I would show you these. These are my, just so you know, these are my favorite mirrors. These are the mirrors that I like to use with students because they have a little handle. So they, and the picture's not so big that it distracts them. It focuses in on the mouth. So if you have an opportunity, these are great for the workshop. And I have my little mirror that I give out to people too, but I don't like it as much because it's, flippy. So I prefer this. Now, I use these to keep my mirror clean. Just people say, how do you keep? Because I always make sure I clean my mirrors before I give them to people to use. Blindfolds are important sometimes when we're working with people. For people that have problems perceiving this, by putting on blindfolds, removing the visual, focuses in on the oral motor. So sometimes these are helpful. So when you go JetBlue, they'll give you as many snacks as you want. Tell them you don't want snacks, you want these. Free. Okay. So can I have a volunteer from the audience? Volunteers, great, brave soul. I will not let you fail. I will not let you fail. I will not. Okay, so I'm going to let you hold this, and we're going to discover our first consonant. Now, the first 8 sets that we're going to do are called brother pairs. Okay, one will be noisy, one will be quiet. They're called brothers. Because they're the same, the oral motor is the same. If I was teaching a student, I wouldn't be saying all this right now, but I'm saying it for you teachers. The oral motor is the same, but the noisy and the quiet make it different, okay? I'm going to introduce in the order that they develop naturally with people, that I will then categorize them a little bit differently than that by tongue, well, I already did that, lips, tongue, and the air sounds, okay? So I'm going to have you make the sound. The sound is good. And can you tell me what's working when you make that sound? Is it your lips or your tongue? Great. Can you tell me how they're working? They're popping. Great. Did you take the lips course? Excellent. And they did a nice job. They did a, okay. And what? No, not the fan. You do exactly what you did. And what would we label that sound? Right, a lip popper. Now, if you were my student, I would give you a choice of pictures, but tonight, because we are constrained by time, and the purpose is to get you to make the sounds right, we're going to keep moving on through. So I'm going to, you're going to stay there. I'm going to put it up. I'd let you do it, except they're really very sensitive. These little, they kind of fall out, so I'm going to hope that they don't. Okay, good. Okay, now, what would you say would be the noisy lip popper? Can you make the sound? But, okay. Let's check, everybody, if this is correct and true, that it is the quiet and the noisy. Let's make the quiet one. And now the noisy one. Buh, buh, buh. Do you feel the difference? Great, okay. So if you can put these guys, you can put them underneath, you can pat them on. Now I know when you did the lips program, they did it on the computer, right? They built this on the computer, those of you, they did it like this? Oh, that's wonderful, because they were on a little thing. No, they do them on the computer. This is how they used to do it. This is far better because of the sensory input that comes through doing it like this and the largeness of it. And just so you, a little ad for the conference. She's going to be one of the honorees, Maryanne Wolf, and she talks a lot about the impact of technology and how touching things and being with things physically makes a difference. That's why I like to do it like this, and I bring all this stuff up to do it. So that's why. Okay. Great, thank you very much. And I'd like to offer you, for being the volunteer, would you like to pick something purple? Okay, they're going to be running up now. Okay. Okay, so we have begun sort of an organizational structure here where we have our noisy quiet, and now we're in which row right now? Which row do we place it in? The lips row, yeah, because what's most activated is lips. I think I have to turn this off. Okay. All right. So how about we're going to make all together this. We're going to say, right. Somebody tell me what's working. Notice my question, your lips or your tongue? Tongue, front or back? Front, good. Can you check and prove to me whether it's noisy or quiet? How would you do that? Quiet, good. And what do you think its noisy brother might be? Good, okay. Whoops. And here we begin our tongue row. Hopefully it's going to stick. You know what? I'm going to move this up a smidgy bit. See if I can. These boards are a tiny bit small for our little. So we always put the quiet one first because quiet people go first. I want to talk a little bit about the voiced consonant. So there is some voiced here. Everybody make that sound. We can reduce it, the vowelliness, for lack of a better term, by keeping our jaw tight. Let's try it. Don't drop your jaw. Big difference between book and buh, okay? So when we have a noisy sound, there is some vowelness built in, But we can reduce it by keeping our jaw tight, okay? Also, on these two sounds, I want you to put your hand in front of your mouth and tell me how the air is coming out. Is it coming out like slow? Is it popping out? Right? So we would call that a plosive, meaning, and I'm going to bring up, you're going to see why I'm mentioning that. You can make a little note. They are plosive sounds because the air pops out. Okay? The air pops out of our mouth. Now, if you remind me, I don't want to do it yet because I want to make sure we have enough time. But there's a little hook, a little articulatory hook for the confusion between the B, the P, and the D. Maybe they did that with you, maybe not. Okay. So at the end of this, if we have time, if somebody can write a note on your paper right now, just remind me, I will show that to you, that you can actually hook it to the articulation. Okay? Well, anytime we could do that, that's quite powerful. Okay, could I have another volunteer, please? Come on, teachers. Good. Come on. It's a great pen. It's a great color. And did you notice we have some purple ribbons? I know it's kind of girly and there's some men, but okay, I'm going to let you stand over here. How are you? Oh, I forgot to ask, what's your name? Angela. Okay, thank you so much. What's your name?
Robin.
Robin. And where do you teach or what?
Chittenango.
Chittenango. I love that word, Chittenango. You know, there's a sign. Chittenango. I love that. There's a sign I saw every time I come. One of the reservation signs. It's like a whole string of letters. Does anybody know what that is? So every time I tell my husband, write that down, write it down. So finally he found it. Now he sent it to me. So I didn't have time to write it, but I thought, this we should decode. This word we should definitely decode. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to give this to you because I don't need to mine. Okay, and I'm going to have you make the sound. Let me give you your mirror. Make the sound. Everybody with your mirrors, everybody should do it with us. Okay, so my first question is it quiet or noisy? Quiet. I agree. Good. Okay. Good. Okay. So it's what's working, your tongue or your lips? And you can check your mirror.
I think it's more like.
I think you're right. Who feels like it's their tongue? Can you check your mirrors and verify that it is your tongue that's working? It means you have to open your mouth and look in a little. Kind of dark in there. Little flashlight. Okay. So the reason you're having a little bit of it's a little bit funny is because this is what's really happening. The tongue is scraping on the roots of the palate of the back bar, okay? Some people misperceive that as a noisy sound because there is a vibration, but it isn't your vocal cords that are vibrating. So it isn't noisy, it's quiet. Now, could you tell me what you think the noisy brother might be? Okay, so check in your mirror. I want you to say, teachers, when they're up, it's hard. It's got to be good. Okay, I want you to say, now I want you to say, and are your mouth doing the same thing or something different? So probably, yeah, so then maybe it wouldn't be the brother. Let's check our thinking on that and see, how would you feel about, check and see if that, check and see if that feels like the same. Good, good. Now, when you all say good, what are you going to do with your jaw? You're going to drop it or keep it tight? Keep it tight. Good, good, good. Great. Okay, and do you feel the noisy on your throat? Prove it. Prove it. Good. Good. Okay. Great. Okay. So I'm going to put this up, but I'm going to let you put the letters up. So what's mostly working? Is it my lips, my tongue, or air working on this one? Tongue. Yeah. Tongue. And how's the air coming out? Is it exploding or is it coming out in a stream? Feel it. I want you guys to feel it. How's it coming out?
Air.
It's coming out in a pop or in a stream? Okay, you want to put your letters out? You're just going to pat them. You have to do it kind of gentle because and we always put the quiet one first. And don't leave without your prize. These are going to be hot. Purple is the new black, by the way, so you pick what you like. Oh, Expo Markers, that's right. Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Okay, oh, we need the teachers. We need the minutes. I forgot. I knew that was going to happen. Okay, we're giving you something. Did anybody eat dinner tonight? Because we've got some mints. So if you didn't eat dinner, I guess you could eat some mints. But we're going to have you chew on a mint, and then we're going to do these neck sounds because it's going to help for you to feel the sound better. So maybe just pass them around, chew on it, get your mouth kind of minty. Okay, and I have another brave volunteer after you eat a mint. You want to come up? Great. And she's wearing purple, so that was planned. Thank you, Reading League people. Sorry, I forgot. That might help. Well, it's good of you, but they can't really make the sound. Okay, teachers. What? Oh, did everybody get a mint or a couple? Okay, great. Okay. Oh, they did good. Okay. Okay, back with me, teachers. Okay, we have our, what's your name? Is it on? There's a lot. Is it on? Yeah, okay. Hi, Emily. Nice to see you. Purple to match. Well coordinated. Okay, I want you to say, and is that noisy or quiet? Everybody checking, they're all checking while you're checking? Great, okay. And what's working? Is it your lips or your tongue? Your lips. Your lips, okay. And what's sitting on your lips? What do you eat? Your teeth, Do you feel something coming over your lips? Lick your lip. And now say, do you feel air coming? Does it feel cold or hot, or how does that feel? Cold, So would you feel okay if we call that a lip cooler? Okay, a lip cooler. Okay, don't leave. Everybody, I want you to make the quiet lip cooler. Okay, until now, all the sounds have been air popping out of plosives. What's happening now with the air? Is it popping out or is it coming out in a stream? So it's a continuous sound. It continues, okay? That's going to be important for another sound that we're going to do in a few minutes. So I'm going to make a kind of a thing about that. Okay, good. Now, when you have a continuous sound, you can make that sound and then turn on your vocal cords and get the noisy brother. So you can say, do you feel that they're the same? One is quiet, one is noisy. Okay, so let me get this up. And what's working? What's working here? We said what's working? Our tongue, our lips. Which row do we put it in? Lips. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to stick this here. You know what? I think I'm trying to make enough space. Okay. And can you put your quiet and noisy where they go? Or just pound them on. Yeah. Great. Okay. And can you pick a prize? Thank you so much. Oh, you do? Oh, she has the same pen. Purple people are just purple people, you know. Okay. Very good. Okay, the next one we're going to do together. Okay, I want you to lick your tongue. Just kidding. I'm trying to see if you're with me or not. So that's one way of knowing when you say something that sounds utterly ridiculous and nobody makes a response. I've had people kind of look at me and say, what is she talking about? I kind of know they're saying something good. Okay, so what I want you to do is we're all together again with our mirrors. I have my mirror. We're going to make the sound. Somebody raise your hand and tell me what is working, your tongue or your lips? What? Oh, I see why you're saying that. Good thinking. Because yes, your tongue is out and it's sitting on the lip. Okay, right, okay. Good. That's good. Okay. So what's coming out of our mouth when we say air? Mm-hmm. And is it coming over our lip or over our tongue? Lip or tongue? Where do you feel the cool? Do you feel cool air or hot air coming out? Cool air? So could we call it a lip cooler? Would that sound good to you? We call it a lip cooler. It reminds us of where our tongue needs to be. Is it quiet or noisy? Let's just check it. Now, could you turn on your vocal cords and get it right? Okay. So, just out of curiosity, for young kids, do we usually have the noisy or the quiet one that we learn first? Is that, think about the words we teach. That, right. You know, I also used to think that, and then I got to thinking, and somebody said, not really, yeah, like that, all those very early words, right. Okay. So will I put it in the tongue row or the lip row? What's mostly working? Tongue, yeah, good. Quiet, noisy. Okay. Is it a plosive or a continuant? It's a continuant, yeah. Air keeps coming until you run out of air, okay? Okay. We have now completed those two rows. And again, I want to remind you that I'm introducing the sounds as they would develop naturally in people, but I'm further categorizing them by their oral motor attributes, okay? So the next row we're going to do is called the air row. So probably it's going to have a lot to do with how air comes out of the mouth, okay? So let's do the first one together. Well, let's do this first. I want you to put your hand up or flat it. I want you to say, now I want you to say, shh. Yeah, where do you feel more air coming out? On the first one or on the second one? Good. I also want you to look in your mirror and I want you to look at your lips. And I want you to tell me if your lips are skinny or fat. When you say, do your lips get skinny? Or compare it to this. Where do your lips get more fat? On that sound, right. So one will be a skinny air, one's going to be a fat air, okay? So I want you to tell me, is quiet or noisy? It is quiet. And what would the noisy brother be? Nice. Okay. Nobody breathes because, they're going to come tumbling down on me. Okay. Now I want you to take your mirror and I want you to make the fat air sound. You see how your lips are fat? Quiet or noisy? Prove it. Prove it, prove it, prove it. This is how you're going to prove it. Plosive or continuant? Continuant, yes. Correct. And what's its noisy brother? Very good. Okay. And I wanted to make a comment about that, so I have my little... Okay. So we've got this, and we've got this. And this is how the noisy brother looks. But do we spell words like that? No, we do not. So what kind of words are, can you think of any words that have the Z sound? French, think French. Treasure, measure, sabotage. What did you say? Vision, yes, vision. Yep, those words, okay? So it doesn't look like that, but it is the noisy brother, okay? Okay. And we're clear that this is a continuant, right? We're clear about that. Okay. All right. I would like one more volunteer. One more volunteer. Hey, a familiar face. You too? It's my, you want my glasses? You want my, okay, you're saying. So stand, well, that way we can, then you can get to the thing. Okay, so go ahead and take this, and now I want you to say, and everybody should do it. Okay, right. So is it quiet or noisy? Maybe you can just know so you can feel.
Quiet.
Check.
Quiet.
Check. Do you all agree it's quiet? Okay. And is there any confusion between shh and okay? Sometimes we get some confusion. One is a continuant, one is a plosive, and that's what determines the difference. We sometimes with kids that are ESL there will be confusion between those two, but if we can point out to them that one is a plosive, one is a continuant, one is a plosive. Okay.
Can I ask you a quick question
Yeah.
while I'm up here? We were talking over there, some of us have heard the term stop. Is that a synonym with plosive or is that different?
I think
Like
it's,
a stop
I
sound.
think it's a synonym, I would
Okay.
assume.
Okay.
Can anybody from our people, would
Somebody
you?
back there.
They're the same thing.
They are, yeah, I just say, yeah, right. I just use it because when we say they're plosives or the sound pops out or lip poppers, I like the word plosive with it because it sounds like that. So I find it's easier to connect than stop, but yeah, okay. Okay, good. And do you have any idea what the noisy brother might be of that sound? Good, and now when you make that sound, just make sure it really pops. Just. Otherwise, we end up sort of with a sound. Okay, so we have to be careful about that. Okay, and I'm going to let you put the letters. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I would do that first. Okay. Great. Okay, your prize. Okay, we have now completed the brother pairs. We're going to quickly do the consonants, and then we will take our little raffle break. Okay? Thank you. I forgot to ask your name. Andrea, thank you. Okay, now, the next 3 sets are not going to just be that they're exactly the same and one is quiet and one is noisy. Some may be all noisy, some may be 2 that are noisy, 1 that is not, but they will all share something that makes them similar. And that's what we're going to look at with these. Okay. So I want you to take your mirror and I want you to say, Now I want you to plug your nose. Plug your nose. And what happens to the sound? Right. So what's happening is your lip, your tongue is redirecting the air through your nose. So we're going to call it a nose sound. So the next 3 sounds are going to all be created by a redirection of the air. Okay? Now I want you to say, and I want you to tell me where your tongue is in your mouth. Is it at the front, the middle, or the back? Front? I agree. So could we call it a front nose sound? Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm going to remove this. Teachers, is it quiet or noisy? Okay, everybody on your row. And if you're not sure, I see teachers doing this. That's good. Quiet or noisy? It's noisy. Yep, it is. And what letter would it be? Good. Okay. Okay, now I want you to take your mirror and say, So this is the roof of your mouth, and there's your tongue. It's almost coming up almost like it looks like an N. Is it coming in the open? Is it in the back working or in the middle working? In the middle. Okay. And what letter do you think that would be? N. And that would be a middle nose sound. Okay. Now, the next sound we need to talk about a little. The next sound is called a back nose sound. There are 3 nose sounds. One is in the front. Let's make that one. One is in the middle, where our tongue goes up into the middle. And then the other one, our tongue lifts in the back and we hold it up. We don't let it down. Okay. This is what it looks like, but we do not pronounce that letter. We do not pronounce the G. The G reminds us that it's working in the back of our mouth, but we need to keep it up in order to redirect the air through the nose. So let's practice it again. Front nose is working in the front. Let's do it. Middle nose. Back nose. Is that bothering you that I've said that the G isn't working? And the way you can prove this to yourself is if you go to a party after tonight, because I know you're all going to go to a party after this, right? Right. And you write a few words on a piece of cardstock, like swing, king, thing, and you ask people, could you just read that word? They're going to say king, swing. I'm not making any good sound, okay? And so we know there is no sound, that it's hard for people. But if you just remember, there's 3 nose sounds. One works in the front, one works in the middle, one works in the back. Let's do it all together one more time. Are they all quiet or noisy? All noisy. And are they plosives or continuant sounds? Okay. Last 2, and then we're taking our little break, and then we're on to the vowels. Okay. And then I have a great story at the end, which I will make sure we hear. So we don't want you to go without the story. Okay. So this is another sound that there may be some confusion about. I want you to say, well, let me start. You know what? Let's start with this one. Make it easier. This will be better. So I want you to feel if there's air coming out. It's a lot of air, wind. Quiet or noisy? Okay. So this sound, I'm grabbing tape because we've run out of our little space here. So this sound, there are two acceptable sounds that we can say. Most of the sounds we would say, there's only this one. So you could make this two ways, but I have a preference, and I'll tell you why. You could say woof, but then you need to make sure that your jaw is tight. Or if you round your lips and say woo, that's a better production, because then you're not as tempted to add in a vowel sound. Okay, so if you remember to round the lips and then make the sound. Okay. Okay, how about this guy? What does he say? Quiet or noisy? Quiet? You sure? Good. Okay. Okay. This guy's a little tricky. Okay. So in America, in the year 2019, we say this sound the same as we say this sound, but they are different phonemes. So we're going to learn the correct sound, and it's very helpful for spelling because a lot of the question words start with the sound. So the sound is quiet or noisy? Quiet. Check. Okay. And we're going to review them all in a minute. Okay? And then we're going to take our break. Okay, we're up to our last sound. Everybody mirror. I want you to say full and tell me what your mouth is doing, what your tongue is doing. What's it doing? Is it lifting? Do you see it lifting? Quiet or noisy? Noisy. And then if you say is your tongue lifting? Where is it lifting? In the front or the back? You can even round the lips a little bit. Let's practice it. It's called a lifter. A front lifter and a back lifter. You use your hand, it helps. Quiet or noisy? Noisy, right. Okay. Okay, we are going to review and then it's raffle time. Okay, teachers, cumulative. We're going to do all the sounds. All the sounds. Are you ready? And then we're going to do a lot of thundering. Okay, I'm going to make the sound first. You're going to repeat it. Good. And Nice. Up, noisy brother, turn on your vocal cord. French words. Good. Same push. Good. Okay, no voice. Try to quiet the voice. And nice job. Okay, we'll do the borrowers after. We're going to do raffle by times. They're going to pass out something to you now. There's going to be a little something they're going to give you that we can talk about right after the raffle. Okay, and then this one. Okay. At the beginning of a word, it's a consonant. And linguists usually say it makes almost like an E sound, like yellow. It's like an E that hops to the next sound. So E. What about in the middle of a one-syllable word, like gym? What sound does it make? It. What about at the end of a one-syllable word? And at the end of a two-syllable word. So it makes a lot of sounds. It borrows a lot of sounds. Okay. I'm going to show you something kind of neat, just to appreciate the language a little bit. This I'm still going to come back to. We're going to remind me about that. Just so you understand how the language is put together. How do you pronounce that sound? What precedes that sound? What sound? Quiet or noisy? And is this quiet or noisy? Yeah, quiet goes with quiet. Isn't that interesting? How about in this word? How about this word? Just for interest. What sound does that make? What sound does that make? Are they quiet or noisy? Both noisy. Noisy goes with noisy. Okay? How about this? We talked about a back nose sound. Did you ever hear of this place? I want you to close your eyes and I want you to say just this part and tell me if this is a middle nose sound or a back nose sound. Close your eyes. Feel if it's the back of the tongue going up. Is it? Back nose sound. There it is. Okay? Punxsutawney. There's 3 nose sounds. One's the front, one's the middle, one's the back. Okay. Vowels. Here we go. Vowels are a little bit harder to feel. Why are they harder to feel? Not as much going on with vowels. Not as much going on with vowels. We don't have as much teeth and lips and all those things, okay? How many vowel sounds are there in the English language? Some people say 19. Tonight we're going to go with 15 sounds, but there's only 5 vowel sounds. Some people say 7 if we count W and Y when they're part. So what's the problem with the vowels that make it hard? We have 15 vowel sounds, but we only have how many vowels? Right, so we've got to know that we're going to have more sounds than we have letters to represent them, okay? So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to build something called the vowel circle. And really what that is, it's a picture of our mouth, of our tongue moving in our mouth when we make vowel sounds, okay? And we're going to create a picture to show how those sounds are made in the mouth, all right? So we're going to start with, if we're making a profile of our face, and I'm standing this way, I'm going to put my ear here. I'm sorry, my nose here. Sorry, I turned around. Okay, and my ear here, okay? Okay. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, are the vowels quiet or noisy? Noisy. Are they all noisy? Is there any doubt in your mind? Let's make a few. E, A, okay. 1 second. Let me just get to my little, make sure I've got all my notes. Okay. So could I have a lucky volunteer to come up and place my first sound? Thank you. And here you are in case you need it. Can everybody hear if she doesn't have it? Okay, let's see if we could. Let's see. So with the vowels, I'm going to have to tell you a little bit more because they're a little bit harder to feel. So what I'm going to tell you is with vowels, we have 6 sounds that work in the front of our mouth. Were you at the Limited Bell Club? Ha! I could tell. They're looking smug, these people. 6 sounds. So can you place the 6 sounds? Okay. What? Just put them up. We're just going to organize them now for them. Now, with kids, with kids, we're going to check when I say front, bottom, back. Do they know where to put that felt? Because we want to know that their directionality words are intact. Okay. I know I'm doing this. I have to count them too. Okay. So stay here. Don't leave. Okay. I want everybody to take their hand, and I want you to tuck it under your jaw. And I'm gonna make the sound. You're gonna make it after me. You're not gonna let your jaw go up and down. Just let it continue down as we make it. Okay? Here we go. E, So which way is your jaw moving? Down. Is it moving in like giant steps or little steps? Small steps. Good. So I'm going to let you just make these look like little steps, okay? A little bit closer together so we have a good picture of our tongue. Now, if you were to go and have an x-ray taken while you were making the vowel sounds, it would look like this. This is factual. This is not some like phony picture. It's not fake news, I guess is what I want to say. Oh my gosh. Good thing I can keep up with the trends. Okay. Okay. Can you continue to help me? Do you mind? Okay. There's going to be 2 sounds that work in the bottom of our mouth. I want everybody to make it first. Everybody, I always turn my ring around because I've been injured a few times like that. Okay, so we're going to put our hand up and we're going to start with this sound. I'll do it first. You'll do it after me. So now what way is your jaw moving? Your tongue. Okay, okay, so let's just check. I just want to make sure. Let's do it. We're going to do it. Let's all do it together. Which way is it going? Up or down? Down. Good. My question was not good. That's why you didn't have the right. Okay. It's my deal. Okay. So can you show us how they're going to continue to go down? Any color's good. Purple's the best, but everything after that is. And we're going to actually make a little space because we want to separate out. And it's going to come a little further down just because your jaw actually does go down. Okay, everybody with me? Are you ready? We're going to start with, you do it after me. Ooh. Which way is your jaw moving, up or down? And if you're not sure, let's do it again, okay? You do it after me so you can hear the sound and repeat it. Here we go. Ooh. Which way is your jaw moving, up or down? Do you feel it going up? Okay, your tongue is actually going up in the back. Okay, I often talk about my jaw because your jaw holds your tongue, kind of like a baby in a cradle. So for a lot of people, it's about the jaw, but it's really about your tongue. The real news is it's about your tongue. Okay, then you're going to show 3 going up in the back. I maybe make it up a drop higher. Yeah, and little steps. Great. You are awesome. Okay, So we've said there's 15 sounds. How many sounds have we done so far? Good. Okay. Keep these guys on. Humidity is not our friend here. Okay. Take a prize. I'm so sorry. What's your name? Whitney. I keep forgetting to ask their name. Okay. And I'm going to hold on. Thank you so much. Okay. Now we're going to. So we said there's two things. The two attributes we're focused on for vowels are the position of the tongue in the mouth and now the shape of the lips. Okay? That's the next thing we're going to do. So, if I was to say to you, E, can everybody do that? E. What shape is your lips when you do that? Use your mirror. Do you think it's like a smile, a round? What shape? Smile. The Linda Bell people are getting a little endorphin rush now, I see it happening. Okay. This is the area of the smiles. Okay. I want you to all make the sounds with me. I want to make sure you're smiling when you make these sounds. You don't know what letters these are yet. Doesn't matter yet, right? We're just talking sounds. Okay. So you're going to keep your hand under, and I want you to smile now, because you're going to get a better sound production when you smile. When you make vowel sounds, you could make them all without this level of enunciation, but they aren't as clear. And when we're teaching kids, we want clarity. Here we go. E, I, A, Nice. Okay. How about this sound? Tell me the shape. Ooh. Would you say it's round or open? I would agree. We're going to call it the round sound. Round. Now, I have a special place in my heart for the vowels because I know this is where the greatest area of struggle is, and I know that if we can clarify this for students and for teachers and students, we can help them. Okay? We can help anybody. Okay, I want you to say ah, ah, and I want you to tell me, is your mouth open, smile, what do you think? Open, you think we could call this an open sound? That's going to be in the bottom here. Okay. You know what? Maybe that's confusing if I put it there. Hold your breath. Okay, there it is. Okay. Okay, we said we did 11 sounds, so now we have a few sounds that are going to be a little different. Okay? I want you to take your mirror, and I have my mirror, and I want you to say oi, and I want you to look in the mirror and tell me what shape are your lips. Oi. What shape are your lips? What shape are your lips? What? When you said oi, a round and a smile. Okay, how about this, teachers? How about you? What's happening there? You. So we have a problem because we can't put it here because it's a mixture. So we're going to call them the sliders because they slide. Your mouth slides from one position to another. And there we have 4 sounds that work there. Okay. So we've now completed. You know what? Okay. Okay. Teachers, for right now, tonight, the E signals that letter will say its name. Okay? We did talk about long and short vowels because in reality, that's not very concrete for children to say long and short. So we like to say their sound or their names. because that's more accurate. Because when you say long and short, I don't think anybody, I mean, I know we're talking about the tenseness of the tongue, but for most kids, they can't really get that. Most teachers can't either. So I want you to say, I certainly haven't been able to get it. Okay, I want you to say E. E. What shape is your mouth? It is a smile. So I'm going to put it over here with the smile. How about this one? What do you feel like there? Smile. Smile. I'm not doing them in an order yet. How about this guy? Everybody follow me. Where do you think I'm going to put him? Smile. How about this guy? All I want you to do is drop your jaw. No smile. Where do you think he's going to go? Yep. How about this guy? So when you say this guy, he's open, but this is the deal. This is a circle. When you have a circle, attributes share from different parts of the circle. So when we're all the way down here, we are in the smiles, but we're also quite open. When we're here, getting ready to go up here, we are open, but we're also rounding up a bit. So when we say aw, you should have some tension on the side there, okay? And these are not in order yet, so I'm just placing them. How about that guy? We know that. Aw. Okay, he's just a different spelling. How about this? Oh. Which section? Would he go in the smiles or the round sound? Your mouth feels round, right? Okay. And these two, this just means it's a little less round. So I'm going to show you what I mean. Ooh. Tight and round. This one, you know how there are two sounds for a double O. So this is one, and ooh. Close your eyes and you can really feel it. Ooh, that's tight round, okay? So they're going to be over here in the round sounds. These I'm not going to do yet. These I'm going to do at the end. Crazy R's. Okay, how about this one? Smile. And how about this one? We're going to talk about it. Smiling. And the E makes it say A. Great. Okay, we're going to order those at last. We're going to order these first. They're easier. Okay, so we're going to start here. Can you make that sound for me? Oh, good. Now I want you to do this. And then we're going to check it and see if it really works. Ooh, tight and round. Okay, teacher, starting from here, we're going to have our hand under. I'm going to make it here. Okay, and you'll make it after me. Ooh. Is it going up? Are we good? No fake news here. No fake news. Okay, now we've got this. No smile. It's a total relax of the jaw. Okay. And now these are making the same sound. One at the beginning, one at the end, or in the middle. This one. Okay. I want you to drop your jaw, but round a little. So you're going to open up. It's the roundedness that gives it the different quality than that. The roundedness, because these are round sounds. Okay, so most of us don't have any trouble with these. This is where we get into a little bit of trouble, but we're going to help to clarify that right now, okay? So first I want you to make this. E, good. It's going to be on the top. Now, there's hand sanitizer on the table if you want. Of course, I forgot that if you use it on your hands and then you put your finger in your mouth, I don't think that's going to taste so good. Or the other way to look at it is you immunize yourself if you just don't wash your hands. My husband says Are you gonna be? Okay. So I want you to take your fingernail. I want you to say E, and I want you to see that your teeth are closed. E. Can't fit your nail in. Okay? Good. Now, I want you to make this sound. I. I'm going to show you how to get to that sound. Watch. You're going to say E, and then you're going to say I, and just the tip of your nail is going to go. I. Watch. E, I. Nice. That sounded very good. So do you see why these are a little bit difficult? We're talking about a very tiny change. Very tiny. But we can measure it in this way for ourselves also to get the best sound production. And we smile. So let's just do these two sounds. E, I. And you're smiling. A lot of things to remember. Okay. Here we go. Here's this guy. Okay. Here we go. Watch this. Just watch first. E. I. We let it slide to the edge of the cuticle, and that puts you in the perfect position. Let's do it again. Let's just do E to I. E. I. Let it slide. Just let your teeth slide to the end of the cuticle, and that puts you in the perfect position for F. And smile. Okay, so here we do it all together. Ready? Promise you a good story at the end. Here we go. Here we go. E, I. Oh my gosh, sounds great. Gosh, they can all be hired as professors. Okay. This one's easy. A, no. A. Okay, this one, it's open with a little teeny weeny bit of smile. To differentiate it from this guy, here we go. No smile. So do you see, I don't know about your students, but my students, between these confusion and usually between these two confusion, and this can help us to clarify the confusion. Okay. Teachers, let's just do the smiles. Okay? Just focus on mouth position and your smile. Let's do it. Okay? E, I, A, let's keep going. Ooh, nice. That really, what do you think of that? That sounds pretty, sounds like a choir. Sounds like a choir. Okay, let's quickly do the sliders. So this guy says what? He's a slider. I like to do the ones that say their names first. Just, I'm all about categorization. You feel that slide? It's moving around. Whoa, you fall. Okay. How about this? Ow. A lot of sliding going on. And how about this? It's a Jewish sound. Oi. Oi, ay, ay. Oi, ay, ay. Okay. Wow. Look at that. This is a photo op at the end, by the way. We leave it up and you guys can come and take pictures, and then you buy them from us, and you know, like the shift, and we take it. Okay. Okay. Now we didn't yet quite finish. We're going to come back in a minute, and you're going to give me a perfect vowel sound. But we've got a couple of these funny guys that, you know, we got to take care of. So we've got this one. You know, we call them, in Lindenwood we call them crazy R's because they don't say they say okay? So they're going to be on the vowel circle, but not part of the middle of it. And this guy says the same thing, and this guy says the same thing, okay? And then we have this. What does this say? Or. And what about that guy? R. Okay. I'm not as worried about those right now, but I would like to just do these again, okay? So let's start at the beginning, teachers. I'm going to do it with you. You'll do it with me. And we're going to do it together. Here we go. And if you want to measure, because that will give you the best production. Don't forget to smile. Don't forget to open with no smile. Don't forget roundedness. Don't forget the ultimate roundedness. Okay, here we go. E, I, A, Ooh, very nice. Wow, you guys get a round of applause. That was nice. Okay. Okay. So you're not going to do that yet. Okay. All right. How do you feel going through that experience, being able to measure like the I to the F to the A? Is that helpful for you? Okay. A few of you, we had passed out some quotes. Does anybody have the quote that we passed out? Did you study them? You had a little homework. Did you talk about them at all? Would somebody if somebody has a quote in their hand, would they like to read that quote? Would you like to get up, be a teacher? Huh? Oh, okay. And who said that? Yes, she's our honored guest tonight, Louisa Modes. And she says, teach your knowledge before program. What does that mean to you? Somebody tell me. It's not about the program, it's about the teacher information, which is why they have these events, so we can be more informed as to what we need to know. Anybody else want to share their quote? You want to stand up and read loud, or you need your... Okay.
For students that lack phonemic awareness, the ability to think about and manipulate the individual sounds within spoken words, phonics, information, and rules appear to have no meaning. Patricia and Phyllis Lillian.
Okay, very nice. So, without phonemic awareness, phonics doesn't have traction. Okay, we have to know that. Really important. Okay, any other quotes that people were inspired by and they can share with others? There were a lot of quotes running around. Okay, here we go. Brave soul, brave soul.
You've got to get the fundamentals down, because otherwise the fancy stuff is not going to work.
Okay, was this fundamental tonight? Pretty fundamental, yes, yes. But we can get fancy, and you can be creative, and you can use all the gifts that you have been given in your life to be a teacher, but you must have the skill. This is really important. Any other quotes that people were taken by? Would you like to read? Do you want to stand or you want to sit? You could stand and be a teacher, yeah.
In order to move beyond the pictorial stage, the child must learn to decode words into their component letters and link them to speech sounds.
And who said that?
Stannis?
Oh, Stanislaw Dehane. Okay. I know, hard name, right? Okay, anybody else? And then I have a story. Anybody else have a quote they want to read? A good wrapper-upper, okay.
Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly.
That's right. Because even the presidents are our guests this evening because they're supporting our work, all these people. Okay, so I told you I'm gonna do a story because I really like stories, and Maryanne Wolf talked about the importance of stories. Read the book, you'll like it. Great book. Okay, the educational message of Miracle on the Hudson Cultivate caring and sensitivity to the feelings and the needs of others. Okay. So at the heart of the whole deal here is that we care about other people and we want what is best for them. And that is why we want to teach well and be accurate and match what the research says so that we do the best job we can. So this is a story about sensitivity. So it was January 15th, 2009. It was a frigid day in New York. U.S. Airways Flight 1549 takes off from LaGuardia. 150 passengers, 5 crew members are on board. Captain Sullenberger, an Air Force pilot, like my dad, safety expert, logged in 19,000 hours of flight time. The whole flight was 6 minutes. 3 minutes into the flight, at an altitude of 3,000 feet, which isn't very high, the windshield darkened and both the engines were knocked out by birds. So, what should he do? So he radios to the tower. They tell him, okay, come back and land at LaGuardia. He says, I can't make it there. They say, go to Teterboro. We cleared you there. I can't make it there either. He says, I'm taking the airplane down into the Hudson River. They call that ditching. So he gets down. He has 3 minutes. 3 minutes up, 3 minutes down to do what he needs to do to get that plane down safely. And he lands it, and he can you hear? And he lands it successfully, and nobody's killed, and they all get out alive in a river. So of course I called my dad right away, and I said, Daddy, did you hear what's happening on the Hudson River? And he said, yeah, it's a miracle that he could land the plane, and he did it. So that's the part of the story that most people know. The part that most people don't know is the part that happened a year later, that they brought Captain Sullenberger back to the side of the Hudson River, to the site where he had the crash, and they asked him, how was it that you pulled that off? What were you thinking when you did that? How were you able to focus? And he said, this is my story. My story is that when I was a little boy, I lost my father tragically, and I was an orphan, and I suffered from being an orphan. And my whole life was difficult because of that, because I was different than other people. And the way his father died, it was a tragic loss, and it was very difficult. And he said all he could think about when he was thinking about landing that flight was all the people on the plane who have family members and have friends, and what it would do to those people if he didn't get that plane down safely. And that was his thought when he landed the plane. So what a level of sensitivity to be thinking that. Skill he had, we knew that. That was obvious because you can't land in water unless you're very skilled. But then he did something else that was amazing. He said 3 words to them. Only 3 words. He didn't speak the whole time. The only 3 words he said were brace for impact. So in life, we have to be ready for impact. There's going to be impact. But it's up to us to lift up our hands and protect ourselves and do what needs to be done, because the pilot can only do a certain amount. He can get the plane down, but we still need to do what we have to do by picking up our hands, protecting our head, bending over, whatever it is that we need to do that's our responsibility. And then he did one other thing that was quite amazing. When they finally got down into the river, one of the passengers panicked and she opened the door to the plane. So then there was water coming in, which isn't such a safe situation. So when everybody went out, he, because he's the captain, walked the length of the plane one time, which would be what a captain would do, because they usually are the last ones out. But then he did it a second time, because he wanted to make sure, even though there was water coming into the plane, he did it a second time because he wanted to make sure that nobody is left behind. And that should be what we think about. Nobody left behind. And whatever we need to do as teachers, that's what we need to do to make sure that all the kids that we work with, and the adults, because some of us work with adults, get what they need. And this is a little acronym, CAVU. Have you ever heard of that? When President Bush died, they said this, the vice president, ceiling and visibility unlimited. you know, we have unlimited potential to help other people. And this is, the Reading League enables us to do that. And they give us the information. And they don't even charge for it. And they're always available, and they're always trying to help, and they're giving us the best information. And you are so lucky. I wished I lived closer, that I didn't travel for 3 hours each time I came. And I look forward to coming, just to being with all of you people who are so committed to making sure children get the best possible educational and every advantage. So do you want to pass out the, should we give them the, yeah, okay. So my last thing I want to say is, this is a quote from Angela Duckworth. This is a great book called The Power of Passion and Perseverance. And here's the important thing. Grit is about working on something you care about so much that you're willing to stay loyal to it. And, you know, we have to tough it up sometimes. You know, people say funny things to us, and sometimes we have to stand up and say, you know, the research doesn't really say that. We have to be able to say that. You have to be able to say, I want to check what you're saying because I'm not sure that what you're saying is correct. And that's grit. And I made a little sandpaper thing that each of you can take. Keep it in your pocket. Keep it on your desk. Keep it in a book. Get a little bit gritty. You know, it's part of what we have to do. Be a little bit gritty. In order, we got to tough it up a little and make sure that we're clear with people that we do know what's right. And if we don't, we're going to find out. So thank you so much. And I know we're a few minutes early, but I know there's a raffle, and I don't want to be late. So.